Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're talking about data analytics. We'll look at some typical challenges that users have, and we'll talk about the role of artificial intelligence in data analytics. To discuss that, I'm joined by a major industry thought leader. With me today is Ajeet Singh, co-founder and executive chairman of ThoughtSpot. Ajeet, happy Friday to you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, James.
Ajeet, I think you've had a really fascinating career. I mean, prior to launching ThoughtSpot, you were one of the co-founders of Nutanix, which, as we know, is a leader in the enterprise cloud industry. It was also the largest tech IPO of the year 2016, so pretty interesting there. So you're not just in the industry, you're actually helping build the industry. So, given how close you are to it, I'd love to get your sense of some trend that involves cloud and data right now. Like, what do you see as close as you are to the market? What do you see in terms of the cloud/data market? A key trend.
Yeah, sure. As you know, Nutanix and ThoughtSpot are in very different industries.
Right.
And I've been fortunate enough to be part of the teams that built these companies and building it. But I think there is a bit of a common thread. If you look at what's happening in B2B enterprise software right now, the roots of it actually go back to what happened in web scale computing in the early 2000s.
Really? Okay.
And, Google was the first company that had to deal with this massive volume of information from all over the web. They had to figure out how to efficiently store it. And they had to then also figure out how do we efficiently serve it and all the intelligence that goes behind the Google search engine and all that. So there was a lot of innovation that Google did in how they built their applications as well as their infrastructure. They didn't go to the traditional infrastructure vendors like a NetApp or EMC or Cisco and others, and they didn't stitch together all of these things to run then their software on it because they had so much volume of data. They needed to figure out how do they store all of that web crawl data cheaply, efficiently, but have it run extremely fast. Because information is changing so quickly and you have to deliver intelligence out of it through the front end.
Right.
So they did all that. So when we started Nutanix, we were inspired by the software-driven data center architecture, the scale-out architecture, the massively parallel architecture that Google had built for their storage and compute layers. And that was sort of the inspiration for the Nutanix architecture. And the problem we were trying to solve there was simplifying data centers. Data centers have become very complex. And cloud is all about simplification. So we built enterprise cloud management software that allows people to really do a lot more computing than they could historically, but do it in a much easier and cost-efficient manner. Now, ThoughtSpot also, there is a common thread with Google in that at ThoughtSpot, we are simplifying data, we are democratizing data. When we started the company, we saw that people were still stuck in the old world of dashboards with Tableau and Power BI and Click and others. Of course, you could build better visualizations, but they were still very rigid. They were fixed. And the end users, they couldn't really ask questions on top of those charts. They could go to Google and they could find the restaurant they're interested in. Then they could find the one that is maybe closer to what they're looking for and iterate more and find something that is close to where they live. So they could ask questions after questions and get to the answer they're looking for. But that is not how the analytics world operated. It took a week for people to get an answer. Let's say I'm a merchandiser and I'm looking for information about sales trends and I want something new. I need to wait for my analytics team almost a week to deliver a dashboard for me. Dashboards was a very rigid way of looking at things. So we said, why can't it be as easy as Google? Why can't the user experience be as seamless as Google, where people can ask any question they want and get an instant answer? So, and that's what we set out to build at ThoughtSpot. We built this amazing user experience that looks very simple, like a search engine, but under the hood, it's a massive number crunching machine.
Really interesting. So you're trying to make data analytics more responsive, and actually, are you using natural language processing for the query?
Yeah, so you use a very interesting term, responsive.
Right.
We're trying to make data more live. We want to enable live analytics
Mm-hmm.
because we like to say the dashboards are dead. Because
That's
they
a
give
really,
you
I love that tagline, because we rely heavily on the data in the world of data analytics. The dashboard is still, king and queen for sure.
yeah, but dashboards were built for a world where people were looking at their business in a rear view mirror every month, every
Uh-huh.
week at best,
Right.
every quarter, every month you would see what I sold in my stores, in my retail
Right.
stores. And
Right.
then you would decide if I need to change merchandising, what I'm promoting on the shelves and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Now we are in the e-commerce world. People are buying stuff from home every day, returning things, things are changing. I'm launching campaigns, promotions. My business is continuously evolving so much. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a need for this. You are basically now serving a segment of one. Earlier, you could segment by saying 30 to 50 year age, this sort of
Right.
location, this kind of income
Sure.
group. This is what they need to
Demographics.
buy. That doesn't work anymore.
Hmm.
Now they need to know James, what is James like, or what is Ajeet like? And
Mm-hmm.
they need to show you things that will be relevant and interesting to you. So you have to do segment of one, and you have to
Hmm.
do it really fast because things
Hmm.
are changing every day.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, a dashboard model just doesn't work because dashboard is going to give you a fixed view which
Mm-hmm.
someone else thought
Mm-hmm.
you need. If I am an e-commerce merchant responsible for beachwear versus ski gear, now
Sure.
winter is coming. There is so much demand that's going to come up for ski gear. So my seasonality is different. The locations where the demand comes from, patterns are different.
Mm-hmm.
And I launched some promotion. I want to see what happened, and I want to answer more and more questions. I just cannot do that with a fixed dashboard.
All
So
right. So if you use that example of the e-commerce example where the merchant is looking at his or her dashboard, and that is backward looking information. They could look at, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, but they could look at the trends. And a lot of, retailers certainly make decisions based on those backward looking trends. So are you saying you're envisioning a world where that retailer might want to say, instead of looking at backward trends, I'm going to ask the platform, so what should I sell more of in the following 3 months? Is that the way it would work?
So there is the prescriptive versus predictive. So you can do
Right.
predictive, but
Right.
even that, if it is going to show you a fixed predictive view that someone else has coded up, then you are limited to just that. So it will show
Right.
you the
Right.
what. It won't show you the why. That's the problem. It will at best show you what is happening with your business. But if you
Right.
want to dig deeper, because it is not live, it's not interactive, it's not responsive, you are stuck. You are going to be making mostly gut-based decisions as opposed to really dive into data and express your curiosity. You understand the business. There is data, and there is this sort of dance that is happening between data and the human, which is
Right.
real time, as opposed to, oh my God, I need an answer to my question, so I need to fill up this two-page document that will go
Right.
into somebody's queue, and the analyst, they are drowning in all of these requests. I need a pie chart, I need a bar chart, can you make it quarterly or monthly? And
Right.
they're all very qualified people. They are majors in maths and science, sometimes engineering,
Sure.
but
Right.
they are sitting there and tweaking pie charts, and that's like underutilization of their skills and their capabilities.
Hmm.
And it is also creating this world for business users where they're just waiting and waiting. And the businesses that are not able to empower their front lines with data,
Mm-hmm.
they are actually struggling. That's why the web companies have become so dominant, because they have really empowered everyone with data.
Well, okay, then to play the other side of that question, I mean, there's people who rely heavily on dashboards, and there's some retailer, and he thinks, I want to sell yellow jackets or blue jackets, and you know what? I love these yellow jackets. I'm going to sell them. He tries to sell them. He looks at the data, and they realize there's almost no sale of yellow jackets, but there's a lot of sales of blue jackets. So his gut instinct was wrong. The data tells him otherwise. That he can now start stocking more blue jackets. That's the way that dashboard model has always worked. What's wrong with that?
What is wrong is that the signal will change. The business will change. Suddenly, there is going to be a supply chain disruption because of COVID. So the supply of yellow jackets is gone suddenly. Now you need to scramble and find out where you can get yellow jackets from. And in the meanwhile, what jackets should you be promoting and where should you be stocking them? Right. So your demand patterns are continuously changing. There is supply is being disrupted. Supply chains are so integrated, and the dashboard is not built for being able to respond to all of these events that are continuously happening for you. Right.
Well, then give me an example. Then say I'm an employee at a company. We're using ThoughtSpot. I sit down. I don't look at a dashboard. What do I do instead of looking at that dashboard?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things you can do. So one, we will enable you to, first of all, monitor your business.
Okay.
So that's something new that we are working on, where you wouldn't have to come into ThoughtSpot. ThoughtSpot will come to you and will tell you what's going on in the business. You would have said, these are the metrics that I'm interested in. These are the kinds of things I want to monitor. I'm a product manager or merchant for this particular segment, the yellow jackets in our example.
Sure.
I'll tell you what's going on with yellow jacket sales or inventory. That's one. Second, when you come to ThoughtSpot, you will see maybe charts that are built by you before.
Okay.
But they will not be static charts. They will be live charts. They'll be live boards. And as opposed to a closed door that you can look at from outside and appreciate all the intricacies of design, it'll be a portal to all your data that is in the cloud.
Okay.
So you can start from there, but then you can say, aha, these sales trends, or maybe I'm responsible for operations in a hospital. So I can see admissions for a certain type of disease are going up. So I can then see, why is that happening? Why are there more readmissions happening here? Because that's one of the things that I want to reduce. And I can see, is there a particular doctor for whom there is a lot more readmissions, or a particular demographic, or I could then keep digging deeper and deeper and asking more questions myself. So I wouldn't be limited to in the dashboard world. You will be shown a chart, and then you either have to move on and try to do what the best you can, or you will go to your analytics team and they will maybe come back to you in a week, in a month, or maybe never.
So the user is then actually able to enter in a query into ThoughtSpot as they might enter in a query into Google. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. So you can start from an existing dashboard or a chart and dig deeper, go in any direction you want. As long as you have permissions to see data, you will see it.
Sure.
Or if you don't find anything that is going to meet the needs for your question, you can actually use our search engine, and that is connected to live to all your data in the cloud, and you can ask questions. Now, there is a little bit of work that would have been done by the data team to prep this search engine, which is mostly around setting up the security for the data and building a simple data model, which can be done in a matter of a few hours, as opposed to these long projects of many months when people are building these data models. So the job of the data team, the analytics team in ThoughtSpot, becomes creating this sort of clean lake for you. And then your users can come and fish. You're not giving them fish all the time.
Okay.
Where you will define these are for a given use case. Let's say we're looking at merchandising use case, or hospital operations use case, or clinical trials use case. For that, you will build a very simple view of data. And within that view, users can ask any questions that they want using our search technology.
All right. So I think, no discussion of data analytics can proceed without the issue of artificial intelligence. I mean, what is the current relationship between data analytics and AI, including in ThoughtSpot? What do you see there?
Yeah. So as we all know, AI is a term gets thrown around quite a bit in various ways. We believe that AI is a means to an end, like all technology should be. It's not an end in itself, but it's an extremely important means, particularly if you think about data in the cloud, because data in the cloud is so big. It's become so cheap to capture and store lots and lots of data.
Right.
With that scale of data, you need to augment the human intelligence with technology so that relevant insights can be derived. And that's where AI comes in. So, sorry, did you want to ask?
Well, I was going to say, you're saying then that AI drives ThoughtSpot?
AI is at the core of ThoughtSpot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's at the core of our search technology, where we are learning continuously from the patterns inside the data. We are also learning from how our users are using data. Just like Google learns what is most relevant right now, ThoughtSpot also learns. When COVID happened, there were so many questions coming to Google about COVID, and that's how queries became smarter and smarter. If you look for vaccine, it will immediately show COVID vaccine as opposed to polio vaccine, because that is relevant right now. Same way, ThoughtSpot can also learn from usage using artificial intelligence. We will show the right sort of questions, because you need to help users even ask the right questions. Oftentimes, data is so complex, data is so big, they don't know what question I can ask here. Right. And you need to augment their business knowledge with the knowledge of data, so that right questions can be asked and immediately answered.
Well, I think there is a classic conflict in analytics platforms. When companies go shopping for them, they usually get to pick between one that has ease of use and an intuitive user interface, versus other programs have really robust capabilities and they're tools for very advanced data scientists.
Yeah.
Which side does ThoughtSpot fall on that divide?
Yeah. So we believe that people shouldn't have to make this trade-off. And I think that's how the world makes progress overall in any industry, not just analytics. But you keep breaking these trade-offs where you don't have to choose. For example, Tesla has become so valuable because you no longer have to choose between range and efficiency. So many other people tried to build electric cars, but the range was extremely limited. So you couldn't really, use it even for city driving. With Tesla, you got an electric car, something that is roadworthy. The acceleration is amazing if you want to move fast on a freeway, or if you want to go cross country, you can use it. So similarly, in ThoughtSpot, when we started the company, we are a very design-focused, UX-first, user experience-first company, and we started with the user experience that we wanted to deliver, because we said we want to democratize data. Our mission is to make the world more fact-driven. That's what we say our mission is at ThoughtSpot. And the access to facts, if we can make it very easy for people to get these access, the facts, then they can make better decisions. So we said, what is the user experience that they need to be able to get to facts that they are looking for? And we said search is the paradigm, user experience paradigm, that's become very popular and billions of people use search in Google and Facebook and LinkedIn, on Amazon for shopping, for so many applications. So we said that's the experience that we want to deliver, but we don't want to give up on the enterprise requirements of scale and security and governance and the complexity of data that we need to deal with. So all our effort was actually to break that trade-off between, do I want ease of use, or do I want the robustness that is required to operate in an enterprise environment? By the way, we also made the user experience 100x or 1000x much easier than anything that was state of the art at the time, which was data visualization tools like Tableau or Power BI. We saw that with these tools, you could have data analysts build dashboards quickly, compared to maybe SQL developers that had to work on business objects or MicroStrategy in the past. But still, there is only a few analysts for every 100 users that you might have in the business.
Right. That's interesting. I'd like to get your sense, as close as you are to the data analytics market, as what you see in the future. Obviously, AI will drive things, and AI, we know, can learn by itself, so without human intervention. What do you see, like in the middle of the decade, 2025? What will data analytics look like then, in your view?
Yeah, when I think about analytics industry 5 years from now, and that's a good time frame, because 10 years is too long.
Right. No one can guess. Right.
Yes. So 5 years, I think there is two things. One, analytics will become more ubiquitous. And that's sort of a cliche term, but I'll explain what I mean by that. And
Okay.
second, I think analytics will become more proactive. So more ubiquitous and more proactive.
Mhm.
By ubiquitous, I mean that anyone will be able to get insights from data. Access to data, access to insight will not be limited to the data experts like data analysts or data scientists. Data
Sort of
analysts and data scientists,
democratization of data.
true democratization of data will happen.
Right.
And secondly, access to these insights will not be limited to the business intelligence user experience or applications. All the applications that are being built now, they are very data-centric applications. So I would not have to go to the UI that is given by a ThoughtSpot or a Power BI. If I'm using my CRM tool, if I'm using my supply chain or ERP or HR system, whatever I'm using, or there's a lot of applications that are built internally for employees or partner portals, I will be able to get insights in that context. So insights will not just be delivered through fixed dashboards that are sitting inside a BI tool, but they will be everywhere.
Right.
And that's why we launched last year our modern analytics cloud. And modern analytics is about delivering analytics to the right person at the right time, at the right place.
Are you talking about edge computing or not necessarily?
No, I'm not talking about edge computing in the edge computing sense here, where there is a device on the edge.
All right.
I'm talking about insights being delivered in any application I might be using. I might be using Slack, I might be using email, I might be using an app that is built my IT department, or that might be a SaaS application.
Gotcha.
So I will be able to get insights right there because people, when they are in a business workflow, they're doing a task, they're placing an order, they're looking at their suppliers. Intelligence should be available right there. They shouldn't have to go somewhere else. And ThoughtSpot has a product called ThoughtSpot Everywhere that brings our search and AI capabilities in a very developer-friendly way. So all developers of these apps can easily take our search, our AI insights, monitor, and many other capabilities we have, our live boards, and bring them into the applications and experiences they are creating. Right? So there's this rise of data apps that is happening right now. So it'll become ubiquitous that way as well. The other thing I talked about is BI analytics will become more proactive.
More predictive, you mean? Or is when you say proactive, mean more
no,
predictive?
what I mean is proactive. Predictive, predictive analytics has been done forever, and how we do predictive can evolve. But being able to look at my history of my sales and forecast, come up with a demand function, that's been done for many, many decades.
Sure.
With better algorithms, more data, those things can improve. What I mean, though, is that I shouldn't have to log into an application to see how my sales are doing, or if something significant has changed in my sales. As a leader at ThoughtSpot, I'm interested in, say, 4 or 5 things that are really important for me. I care about customer satisfaction. NPS is very important for me. I care about product quality. I care about our sales target versus current forecasts. So there is a few of these things. Employee satisfaction, I care about that. So I want to be able to just tell the system, these are the things I care about, and then come to me and tell me something significantly changed. Tell me
system of alerts then, really.
Yeah, but alerts not in a sort of a traditional mechanical way where someone says, oh, if my inventory falls below 100 units in this warehouse, tell me. That is very doable, right?
Right.
But this is actually being able to detect unusual changes in data using AI and being able to do so at the right level of granularity, not just overall NPS. For example, if I'm interested in my customer satisfaction, I'm looking at NPS, not just saying NPS went up by 10%. So look at it. It should tell me NPS for customers that started with you 3 months ago is worse than the ones that had started before. So, and without me actually setting that up as a fixed alert.
Right.
Because there is so many cuts of data, there's so much, so many dimensions to data that's impossible for anyone to be able to go and set up all alerts in advance. System has to become smart enough that it is looking for these insights deep in data and showing to people what is relevant and what they should be responding. And there has to be a feedback loop, because otherwise you get into a very noisy system. It's easy to send alerts to people, but you also get shut down very quickly by users if you're just spamming them. So the AI system in the back end has to work on this human feedback loop, where I get an alert which is good enough to start, but over time I'm able to give feedback and say, I like this, or I don't like it, or I want to interact with it. Because I get an alert that will tell me the what, but how about the why? Why did it go up? So I should be able to interact with that alert, and it goes back to live analytics that we were talking about. The alerts also have to be live, as opposed to a static number.
Ajeet, that is fascinating. ThoughtSpot will be very interesting to follow in the years ahead. I very much appreciate you sharing your expertise today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Thanks for all the interesting questions.